Anytime we get a chance to do something satanic to start the show, we want to, right?
I thought this was a great way to open the show.
Yeah. Long before Robert Downey Jr. believed he was an actual superhero, this song was big. Little Black Sabbath and Iron Man. See, I think today's theme's challenging. I mean, you understand what the theme is.
Yeah.
Songs either in the title or in the lyrics mention a superhero. Okay.
So someone texted in. I'll have to get a ruling on this. Does kryptonite count?
Well, I said we may need a gray area today because.
But that's technically not a superhero.
No. And I don't know if you want to do powers and things like that, but. And I think we may have to limit the number of Superman references because Superman makes an appearance in a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
So
then would that count?
Well, we could do a couple. I just don't want to make it it's all Superman theme.
Right.
But that's where the idea was with the new movie. My daughter was telling me about it. Her and her husband saw it and everything. Well, let's try songs or lyrics that mention a superhero. So we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe it's my fault.
So then I will say kryptonite will count then, since it mentioned Superman.
Yeah. So 50857 on the text line for Double Shot Tuesday today. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
We were talking off air during the bridge about stuff that's going on in the Little League World Series, and it just, I love this new hat that I'm wearing, but I should have worn the "What Are We Doing" hat.
Yeah,
that pisses me off.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll tease this because coming up at 10:15, we've got one of the reporters that's covering the story. And let me just do a brief summary of this. Little League World Series begins this weekend in Williamsport, so you have regional finals that are regional tournaments going on. And in Texas, controversy, of course, right? The team from Tulsa, Oklahoma was removed from the regional for using an ineligible player. The tournament officials and Little League Baseball in Williamsport said, okay, they're out using an ineligible player. These two teams are now going to play in a championship game since the Tulsa team is out. They played that game, and a team from Texas won what they believe was a championship, the punch and ticket of Williamsport. The Tulsa team that got kicked out of the tournament because what do we do these days? We find a judge. A judge gave them an injunction and said, no, now that team has to play Tulsa today for a championship game. And nobody has any idea if they're going to play that game or not. And why they got thrown out of the tournament has really upset Chris, and for good reason. We'll get to that story at about 10:15 today. But that one ranks among the all-time most disgusting.
I have thoughts that I expressed to you that are not on air.
Yeah.
Safe.
About what the adults in the room did.
And what I suggest.
At least that's the story being reported now.
And if it's true, what I suggest they do.
Yeah. So that'll come up at about 10:15. Because you just go find a judge. Found a judge. They go, yeah, you know what?
You can put the judge in with them.
Yeah. Matt Michelle's going to join us, just a little bit because of the UCF practice schedule. Matt's got some obligations for interviews at his normal times. We're going to talk to Matt in just a few minutes on the program today. Rocky is 50 years old, the movie, this year. Rocky's 50 years old.
Okay.
And in a few months, a book's coming out of how the whole thing was made. There's a movie coming out that says titled I Play Rocky. Mm-hmm. But Philadelphia writer does a really good job. The book's not out yet, but does a great job of some of the stories about how the movie got made, why Philadelphia, and everything. He's going to join us in the 11 o'clock hour.
Oh, I'm glad I'm decked out in Cowboys gear then.
He writes about the Eagles too. Yeah. All right, here's everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? 1Forrest1.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great. I'm really excited for this joke, Mark.
All right.
Mark, did you hear that somebody stole the toilet seats at the police station?
No, Chris, I did not hear that somebody stole the toilet seats at the police station.
Investigators have nothing to go on.
Double Shot Tuesday theme with release of the new Superman movie. It's songs or lyrics in a song that have a superhero reference, all right? I meant challenging today, but we'll see. I trust the audience. It'll be good. 50857 on the text line. Taste Central Florida, presented by Edwin Jones, returns to the Orlando Marriott Center, the Orlando World Center Marriott on Friday, August 28th. This culinary event, more than 100 Central Florida's top chefs, restaurants, and beverage experts get together for this incredible event that benefits the community. 100% of the event proceeds go towards Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida and the Coalition for the Homeless of Central Florida. It's a great event for great food and then to help several great causes. You can get tickets by going to tastecfl.org. That's tastecfl.org. And today, the good folks at the Swan and Dolphin from Walt Disney have come out to bring a whole bunch of good food from the many restaurants they've got. Chris, I think, set a record for piling his plate. By the way,
No.
big move.
No.
Chris put some of the things below the large
Pita bread.
pita and then piles on top of it.
So that's what they told me to do.
Yeah.
That's what they told me to do.
Got the fried chicken hummus, tuna tartare, red wine braised Wagyu short rib. Got a little caprese salad and everything. So thank the
Got
good
some
folks.
ahi tuna.
Thank the good folks in the Swan and Dolphin who came out, and there are many great restaurants that are there. Again, tastecfl.org for tickets for the event Friday, August the 28th, Orlando World Center Marriott Taste Central Florida, presented by Edwin Jones.
This segment is presented by Bowegan's Beer Company.
Green inside.
Let's tackle the latest news from UCF and around the world of college football with the Orlando Sentinel's very own Matt Murschel.
Give him the Heisman now.
Hit up Matt on Twitter at OS Matt Murschel.
He is a working man, so Matt Michelle joins us from UCF football practice. The media session will be when Matt normally joins us, so Matt gives us a few minutes here while he's out at practice. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing today?
I'm fine. For those that never get to a college football practice, what would they be surprised to learn happens?
I think what they would be surprised to learn is it's not as dramatic as some people assume. It's not like an actual game. It starts out, we get about 20 to 25 minutes, the media does, to watch practice. And usually it's warming up, lots of stretching, lots of drills. You really don't get an opportunity to see the good stuff, whether they actually do 7-on-7s or 11-on-11, whatever they want to set up. You don't get to see that till later on in practice. And it's one of those deals where I think occasionally big plays happen, but more likely it's stuff that's just, they're trying to run plays and get an idea and run certain things. And it's not as dramatic as a game and everything like that. We got a chance to watch the whole practice on Saturday. I think it's the first time that UCF has allowed us to do that as media. And it was, there were moments that you think, okay, that looks good. And then there are moments that are like, okay, that's not great. They got things to work on. And I think that's the thing. If you're just a casual fan watching it, you may be disappointed and thinking, why don't they do this and this and this? It's just more about repetition and getting out in the elements than it is so much like a game.
My favorite part about open practices is when fans go, man, the defense didn't look good on the deep ball. I'm like, well, maybe the quarterback made a good pass, or boy, the quarterback doesn't look good. Maybe the defense is playing well. I mean, it works both ways sometimes, and people forget that. But give me some early thoughts now of both what you've been able to watch and in the press conferences that have had, and what appears to be a much more calm and more confident Scott Frost. And if that is true, why?
I agree. I think he's more calm and more confident. I think when you're on the practice field, you see this team able to do a lot more than they did this time last year. I think last year there was a lot of building this team and getting the players to understand what's entailed in practice, how to practice properly, how to run some of these drills properly, things like that are basic level things that you do in a football program. This time around, it's not that. They're running plays. They're running drills to be able to see, who's going to step up. They're rotating in offensive linemen. They're rotating in defensive line guys. It's more of an opportunity to see which one of these guys is going to be able to step up. Alonzo Barnett III, at quarterback, has been out there since preseason camp had started. And, it's an opportunity to see what he's able to do. We didn't get to see that in spring. So you're seeing some of these guys maybe who are going to be playmakers. You're seeing guys who are being able to step up, have gotten bigger, stronger, faster. To me, that's the biggest difference this time around, is that this team is much more experienced. Talking to some of the players, there's not this kind of, okay, we'll see what happens this year. There's a little bit of a confidence, like, okay, yeah, we're going to go out there and we're going to play well. We feel really good about what's going on. So I think a lot of that is by design. When Scott and the staff went out to get players for this team, they purposely went out to try to get experienced players. They went out to get guys who'd had several years and had played several years at college football. And you could see that paying off. That experience is paying off. Guys are able to do some things. You're seeing veterans who are stepping up and maybe teaching some of the younger guys, hey, that's not how we do it. This is how you're going to be able to do it. And it's looked okay. I mean, again, first week practice, I always warn people, don't take too much from that. This is just this team trying to get its feet back under them. Wait until after the end of this week, and they really start getting some things going. And I think you'll get more of a better understanding of what this team's going to be like.
Cole Kozlowski is back on the practice field. He's got to get himself back into playing shape. And as I said earlier, not to be reporting anything that is out there, but I'm not quite sure he'll be ready when the year begins, meaning he's got to get into playing shape. He's got to put weight on. He didn't anticipate getting this year. But just thoughts on Cole coming back. Obviously, you saw him play last year for UCF and what that means as he steps into that linebacker group.
I think it's a huge boost for this team. Just not just as a linebacker, but just as the team. You're talking about Cole's personality. He was one of the leaders of this team last year. And to be able to bring that guy back, and the energy he brought in, we got the chance to see him yesterday. He was one of the last players on the practice field. He came back. He was coming in from the Nicholson Fieldhouse onto the practice fields, and just the beaming, the smile he had on his face, that he had, and putting on the helmet and the jersey again for the first time after a while. And I think getting on the practice field, you saw players coming over and shaking his hand and patting him on the back. There's a lot of this team is excited by that. And I think, you're right, 100%. He is not out there able to participate at the level that this team is playing right now. He took part in a lot of warm-ups. He was standing around with the linebacker group during drills. He's got to get himself back into shape. I talked to linebackers coach Marc Daniels last week during media day, and he told me, listen, he hasn't played competitive football since last time UCF stepped on the football field in November. So he's like 8 months. So it's literally like if a guy has an injury and he's coming back from an injury, you have to basically do a real kind of slow take on it. You have to make sure he gets himself into shape, and then you got to make sure he can handle being able to run drills and not have any issues. And you want to make sure that he goes through all the things that you really don't, you want to ease him into it. You don't necessarily want to throw him in there. And we asked him about, listen, what about, the team chemistry aspect of this? Because you've got a group of linebackers who have just spent, 6-7 months building this team camaraderie. And then you throw in another guy, and everyone here at UCF says they believe that, Cole is going to be a positive influence. A lot of the guys in the linebacker room played with Cole last year. They understand him. The new guys feel like there's an opportunity there. And you're right. I've heard from several people, they don't anticipate Cole probably being back for the game one, at least unless something just dramatically happens over the next 3 weeks, unless he really kind of turns it on. They feel like he's probably going to be slowly integrated into the defense of what they're going to be able to do. So it's going to be a challenge, but they feel like this is an opportunity. Now, again, all this is predicated on the fact that let's see what happens in the courtroom. If the NCAA appeal somehow comes through and they're able to stop this injunction, then that kind of changes everything. But UCF has been very cautious on this front. They're not saying he's 100% back, but he is on the roster and he is wearing a jersey on the practice field.
It never fails. The underachieving program changes coaches. The new coach comes in and he's more intense, man. Changes the weight room. The music's not playing us. We got to get locked in. We hit in practice. I'm not picking on John Summerall, but clearly it's an approach that he chose to take here. And maybe it's exactly what Florida needs. I don't know if that translates into more wins, but clearly it's a way of saying, hey, whatever you guys did before, was it working? This is the way I do it. So your thoughts on a more intense John Summerall?
Yeah, I think he feels like this is what this team needs. They need to make some changes. They felt like there wasn't enough there. There wasn't enough energy. There wasn't. They needed to be accountable for what was going on the field, and maybe that wasn't happening under Billy Napier the last couple of years. Maybe Billy got, maybe that things just kind of went downhill. But John feels like this is an opportunity to get this team and start them out right. I understand that you want to set the tone. You want to come in and say, this is how we're going to be. This is how we do our practices. This is how we do our lifts. This is how we do everything in the weight room. This is what we do. We're in the classroom, or we're in the nutrition center. You want to make sure you establish that kind of routine and how you want things to be done. And that kind of sets the tone for the season. And that way you can also check and see who's following through on this stuff. It kind of gives you a chance to learn who are your leaders, who are the guys who are telling the younger guys, hey, pay attention, make sure you do this properly. Don't skip a step. Don't just try to cut the corner. We want to make sure we can do things right. And so it's going to be interesting. You're right. Our first year coach comes in, they talk about this. They talk about all the things that they're going to do to make the program better. And you just got to hope that maybe it turns into wins and losses. But I think for John, who's had success obviously everywhere he's gone, this is just really about him setting the tone and saying, this is what we're going to be like. And you hope that translates on the football field, that they get some wins, because I think it's going to be a challenging year for them. I think they can win some games that maybe people didn't think they could, but I'm not looking for them to contend in the SEC this season.
10 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR, HD2 Cocoa Beach. Matt Michelle, Orlando Sentinel with us. Matt's got some media obligations at his normal time, so he's with us here. I don't know, a few days removed now, if you have any thoughts on the Protect College Sports Act that didn't get to a Senate vote, that in typical political fashion, and I'm pointing at both parties, here come last-second amendments to add to everything, and had to go back and remember my civics class in high school and college, I guess. But do you have any thoughts now as to what happens, what the impact was of at least getting near a finish line but not getting across? I don't have high hopes this gets back to the Senate floor before midterms. So just your thoughts on where we stand.
Yeah, I talked to a few people this weekend about it, and they were very disappointed about this because they felt like if they didn't get it done at now, that it probably was not going to get done at any point, in the future. Because, again, this means there's so much time over the next 5 or 6 weeks for things to happen. There are going to be more people who are going to scrutinize this act and this bill, and they're going to pick it apart, and they're going to ask for this, and they're going to want to change that, and they're going to want to. So all of a sudden, you start losing votes. You thought maybe you had enough votes to get this thing pushed through, and then that changes over the next 5 weeks. It's one of the reasons why, and I'll be honest with you, Mark, whenever fans say, we need the government to step in and fix college athletics, I'm just not 100% sold that's going to happen. I mean, because look what we've been dealing with. It's the politics of it. It's lobbying. It's not just a simple thing of going into a room, writing up a bill, and then going, here it is. It just, there's so much involved in the process, and there's so much going on in our country to begin with, that this just kind of takes a back seat. And when you finally do get to the point where they felt like, they were going to get it done, it's frustrating. I had one person tell me this weekend, it's like being on the goal line, and it's 3rd and 1, and you think you got a chance to score, and all of a sudden you lose an opportunity like that. And it's just, it's tough. And I think it's going to be a challenge for it. Now, where they go from here, it remains to be seen. Listen, I mean, there's several ways that the conferences will start looking around and seeing what's the next step. Will they try to make some of these changes that they push forth in the act? Will they try to do it, maybe themselves as a Power 4 group, trying to maybe do something where they could look at the revenue sharing stream cap and maybe change that up, as they talked about, adding additional, retention pool, for each individual school in the Power 4 conferences. Will they try to tweak some things here and there on their own? Again, we've the Power 4 schools and conferences have really kind of struggled to get on the same page on that front. Or will we move this closer to self-governance? Will the SEC, which has talked about breaking away, is it going to be closer to that, where we're going to see more movement on that front, where conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten are going to look around and say, what can we do to fix our, the sport in our conferences, and maybe kind of break away from what's going on in the NCAA. So it's going to be an interesting next 5 or 6 weeks, I think, on all fronts.
Hey, last one, and it's kind of a connection with this. There was the realignment and expansion part of this bill about, hey, if you wanted to leave, it would take 5 years. It's independent. They capped at 19, and it led to the media, social media frenzy of, well, here's what I think happens and everything. And I'll share this. I'm not going to mention a name, but I did speak to somebody very high up in an athletic department, not in the state of Florida. It wasn't Terry Mahajer, was anybody in Florida, outside the state, who said to me, there is zero chance their conference is expanding anytime soon. Zero. None. Meaning there's no interest out of the party. No one's splitting a pot more. And there's no interest among the TV networks to come up with hundreds of millions of more dollars right now. And he had no idea where this fury was about, well, that means that the SEC's got to add three. It'll take these three in the domino effect. So I'll ask you, do you think that there's any appetite now? I'm not saying in 2030, but today, as this person was telling me, zero, none. Nobody wants to hear about it.
I would agree with that. I don't think there's appetite. I mean, outside of a few schools who individually want to believe they're going to have an opportunity to go to a Power Four conference, I don't think there's anyone in any conference right now who's thinking, let's add more schools. Right. Let's make our conference bigger. Because you think about what we just talked about with what they're trying to do with college athletics, what everyone's trying to do when it comes to revenue sharing, how they're trying to afford and keep their sports viable. All of a sudden, now you're going to walk in and say, now let's add a couple more schools and make our conference bigger. And then, you talk about the networks, ESPN, Fox, all these networks are thinking, okay, we're redoing deals as it is right now. Why would we turn around now and start wanting to pay more money if because you guys want to move schools around? I just don't think there's an appetite for that right now. I haven't heard anybody say, yeah, we're really interested in this, outside of a few schools that have just said, we desperately want to get out of a G5 and we want to get into a Power Four conference. I think it's I understand it. I understand why fan bases believe it's going to happen. It's just not. And now that this thing is with the act, not making it into the voting, and maybe 5 more weeks before that happens, and it means that even if that happens to begin with, I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, it may happen 10 years, 15 years down the future, but I just don't think there's an appetite for right now. No one is clamoring for it, and I think we just have to move on from it.
Matt is out of UCF practice, not just for the Knights, but everything in college football. Please support his work on X or Twitter at OS Matt Michelle and find his work at the Orlando Sentinel. Thank you, Matt. Stay hydrated.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Matt Michelle and the latest in college football. Little League Baseball. Somebody broke a rule. They went to court to find a judge, of course, in Texas, trying to get their team to play in a championship game, despite the fact a championship game was played without him yesterday. And nobody even knows what's going to happen today. The latest of that crazy story is coming up with someone that's covered it on the Beat of Sports. Today's Double Shot Tuesday theme, songs or lyrics with a superhero reference, and you were asking about the villains. That's where the Joker comes from?
Yep.
It's not bad. I like the creativity.
We got so many Batman and Superman references.
I knew that. When I was doing, I'm like, but you know what? I like the creativity. We've done stories over the years on this show that Chris's line of "What are we doing?" comes to mind when the adults in the room think they're doing something that the kids would want them to do. And then you step back and go, well, did anybody use common sense here? So I'm going to bring you to the latest controversy of youth sports that maybe you've not heard of or maybe you've seen something. But Little League World Series is getting set to get underway in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Regionals are going on right now where teams are trying to qualify to get to Williamsport. In Texas, one of the regionals is taking place in controversy as a team was thrown out of the tournament for using an ineligible player. But how we got there and what they did is the story. And our next guest hopefully can explain. Marin Angus joins us and has been covering this for SI and will share some insight. Marin Angus. Marin, how are you doing today? Thanks for hopping on. How are you doing?
I'm good. My head is spinning right now, but I'm so good. How are you guys?
All right, I want you to do this first, though, because Tulsa Little League has experienced this with controversy before. Can you please share what happened to their softball team as they were trying to get to the Little League Softball World Series?
Yes. So 3 weeks ago, the Tulsa National Little League softball team was disqualified from the Southwest region for using ineligible players. There were multiple players in the protests that opponents claimed to be ineligible. I think only one qualified in Little League's eyes. But yeah, ineligible players playing. Tulsa was removed from that tournament.
And how far did they get? Were they in a regional as well?
Yes, they were in the region championship.
Okay.
It's the exact same timeline as what happened for baseball.
All right, so the softball team gets kicked out of the tournament. Okay, now the Little League baseball team gets to Texas. The regional gets underway. And what happens where there's some whispers now that are saying something's off?
Yes. So what we have learned is that the opponents in the Southwest region found that there are players who played in the state tournament, in the Oklahoma State tournament. There was a player who was ineligible, and that player did not play in the Southwest region. So they caught themselves like, oh, we can't have him play in this region tournament because he's ineligible. And we now know this because the breaking news I just put up is I obtained a copy of the court document. So Tulsa National was granted a temporary restraining order to allow the team to play in what would have been the championship game later today.
Okay, but hang on. Before we get to that, I want to go back. So they use a player of the state tournament that's ineligible. They know that he's ineligible. Yes. So we're not going to use him in the regional.
Correct. Yes.
So the argument then is, were they kicked out because they advanced using an ineligible player and that their roster in the regional was approved? Mm-hmm. So the question is, they should have been kicked out for using the ineligible player. Correct.
So how Little League runs its postseason is that the state tournament is considered part of the international tournament.
Right.
So they did use an ineligible player in the international tournament, just not at the region tournament.
Okay, so Little League's first statement yesterday was a little bit vague, saying, hey, this is what we found, so they're ineligible. Mm-hmm. Then they say that these two teams now will play for the regional championship. We don't need the Tulsa team anymore. So they schedule that game, and that game was played, and a team from Texas wins that game, celebrates for going to Williamsport. Correct. But tell me what happened in a nearby courthouse.
Yeah. So at 4:23 p.m. yesterday evening, Tulsa was granted a temporary restraining order by a judge in McLennan County. And all of a sudden, they're saying they're going to play for a championship game later today in Waco for a chance to play in Williamsport.
But why did the judge give them the injunction?
Because the document states that the ineligible player did not play in the Southwest Region tournament.
So then the judge says, here's the injunction. Now they should play in a championship game.
Yes.
But the judge is saying that. What has Williamsport said? And the team that won a championship used its pitchers yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be a game today? Where are we?
Williamsport has not said anything so far. I have sent a couple emails, no answer yet. However, I have heard from several folks from Bernie Little League, the Texas West representative, that they're home. They've already left Waco. They're at home. They're packing for Williamsport. So I don't think there will be a game today. And if Tulsa shows up in Waco, they're not going to have anyone to play, and they probably won't have any production. They won't have any umpires. There won't be anything waiting for them.
So I guess the argument that the Tulsa team can make is, hey, they're violating a court injunction that they were supposed to be here. But I don't know who supersedes who here, because ultimately Williamsport can decide who represents that regional, correct?
Right. And I think that's where it is right now, is that with Tulsa specifically, Little League's in Williamsport. Like how does the court in Waco have jurisdiction over something that's operating out of Pennsylvania? And I think that's where the confusion is with a lot of people, and the fact that Williamsport has not said anything about this temporary restraining order and how it will affect this tournament later today.
Marin, do you know, because I saw this and I don't know if it's true, the argument about the ineligible player.
Mm-hmm.
Did Tulsa use the Challenger Division rules to get a player eligible? And for those that don't know, the Challenger Division allows for special needs kids, act like kids, to play baseball. And there's kids that are in wheelchairs, others that have other issues that they deal with, and it's designed to let them have fun and play. But I believe that there's a rule that says if a relative is playing in the Challenger League, that you can have another child that doesn't have special needs play in that league. Have you confirmed that story? Because that's what's making the rounds. What do you know about that?
Yeah, that was part of the protest that was filed by 3 of the teams in Waco. And I don't want to jump to conclusions, because I personally haven't spoken to the family that's being accused of all of this.
Yeah.
However, there is evidence that they did use the Challenger Division. Now, did the family specifically falsify documents? We don't know. Did the district administrator falsify documents? We don't know. Somewhere within Tulsa, things were falsified to make it look like this player would be eligible.
But I guess the key part I want to know, and again, you may not know this, at least I'd read that they don't even offer a Challenger Division at that Little League.
Yeah, the Tulsa parents that we have spoken to have no idea that they had a Challenger Division in Tulsa. And
Marin, what are we doing? I mean, what adult thinks that that's a loophole that you want to use? I mean, I can understand. I wouldn't defend if somebody said, hey, they live within a half mile of the district line and they got a better Little League and resources.
Mm-hmm.
To use the Challenger Division rules when you don't play Challenger Division to get, I mean, I can't express the hatred I would have if somebody did that. What are we doing?
Yeah. The child in question also plays elite travel ball as well. So if you're playing Challenger Division Little League, are you also playing elite travel ball?
So and the softball team and the baseball team, same district, same groups.
Same district, same group, same people. Same people involved as far as the league is concerned, but different coaches, different personnel that way. Yes.
Yeah. You cover softball.
I do.
Baseball has some of the same stuff. The obsession of winning, the travel ball, the money involved, and so forth. I mean, just give me your opinion on where are we going? I mean, at some point, it's okay for kids to not win a championship and to lose and have fun. What What are we doing here?
Yeah, I keep asking the same question. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
I also think Little League is at a crossroads because
Yeah.
Little League needs to figure out what its identity is moving forward. Is Little League a true community-based league where you live within your boundary and play for where you live? Or are you playing to be on ESPN and get all of the national attention and the free equipment? And I think it comes down, honestly, take this down from the NCAA and NIL, right?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what's happening. These kids are on TV. They're getting all of this national attention.
But it's still more the parents that are pushing this, though.
Yeah.
An 11 and 12-year-old kid is still developing. I don't think that 11-year-old goes, man, if we just had more depth in the bullpen, we could beat the team from Japan. I don't think they're thinking that.
No, but I think the parents also see dollar signs out of it.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, and I've learned, and when you and I are exchanging communication, even locally here, and I know some people have wondered about teams from this area, but there's a good chance when the Little League World Series begins in Williamsport. I think now it's 12 regionals up in the U.S. People tell me that likely 9 or 10 are illegal teams that have found a way to find the loopholes, that are taking travel ball kids that didn't play the full season, and it's just the game to get to Williamsport, and for you said, to get the exposure that comes with it. The group of kids that grew up together, that played Little League baseball and had a magical summer, that's a dream of the past.
Yeah. And I think about all of the years I've spent watching Little League. It's not just, I don't just cover, don't just watch softball, right? I remember watching Tom's River with Todd Frazier back in the day, like that. Yeah. Everyone wanted to watch them play. And where is that now? I don't know if that still exists, because I think we're starting to see these loopholes and these teams come together and play. You hear it on the broadcast. Oh, they've been playing together for 4 or 5 years. How? Because Little League is a draft system where everyone plays on different teams.
Yeah, and look, I admit, I haven't been bothered over the years by the coverage the Little League World Series has gotten, but I do admit the last few years, I do kind of wonder. Like, I was sitting here yesterday, and our show begins at 8:30 Eastern time, and at 9 o'clock, ESPN is doing not a regional final. They're just doing a pool play game at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this just to get the rest of the staff vacation time? But what are we doing when 2 1-0 teams are playing in Bristol, Connecticut at 9 a.m. on ESPN? And that's where I think the adults in the room are just not looking out for the best interest of people. Maybe that's the old guy that I am, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think, the same thing happened with the softball tournament, right? Every single game was on one of the ESPN family of networks, whether it was on linear or streaming on Plus. But
at least that was a World Series. At least that was a World Series, and good for the coverage it got. And I watched the championship game that was on ABC. But we're doing regional first round games.
The entire regional tournaments, all of them, softball and baseball, and not just this major league, right? You've got senior league and junior league. Every single regional game was available to watch.
Before we end, as you know right now, one team may show up at the ballpark today and no one else is going to be there. No umpires, no tournament officials. And the other team in Texas is booking their flights to Williamsport. The Tulsa team, you believe, will show up today, but there's not going to be an opponent for them.
That's exactly what I believe. I do think that just based on the conversations that I've had late last night and this morning, that the Southwest champion is Bernie Little League, and they're going to be en route to Williamsport, while Tulsa is trying to play someone in Waco.
You can follow the story. Maren will be on top of it. She's on X or Twitter at Maren, MAREN_ANGUS, and find her work at Sports Illustrated on this. Thanks, Maren. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Chris?
What the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing?
Just explain a little bit more, because it may have gotten confusing there, and it's probably my fault, as Maren was explaining. Little League Baseball has different divisions based on your age. Little League Baseball also offers what's called the Challenger Division, which gives special needs kids a chance to play in a field designed for them just to feel like a kid. You have kids that have a variety of challenges, kids in wheelchairs, kids with many other handicaps and challenges, and it's an incredible program. There is a rule that allows if a family, for example, I'm just going to use cities here to give you an idea. Let's say a family lives in DeLand and the closest Challenger Division is in Kissimmee. It basically says that the child that doesn't have any special needs could play in the Kissimmee Little League because, hey, if you're going to be traveling down there, that's what that area, that's what that rule is for. Tulsa Little League doesn't offer a Challenger Division. So to use the rule, it says, well, he's playing here because of the Challenger Division. They don't offer a Challenger Division. Somebody has to knowingly break that rule.
You're scum. You are scum.
Yeah.
You're scum.
But here's the thing. You knew you used an ineligible player after you knew it. It was called out, and you didn't take that player. Hey, we can't use him. Like the adults in the room. Again, what is wrong with you? It's okay for your 11-year-old or 12-year-old son or daughter, softball, baseball, to lose. It's okay. They'll understand.
It's Little League. It is Little League Baseball.
Not anymore.
What the hell are we doing?
Not anymore. It's become big business for some.
Stop it.
And by the way, their softball team and their Little League team get ejected from the regional. Like,
it is Little League.
Somebody hopefully steps up and says,
Oh
all of you are out. All of you are gone. Get out of here. But I will tell you this, it's impossible for this to happen with one person. Meaning it takes several people to make the decision that we're going to break the rule to do this.
The parents.
It's not one person.
Parents,
multiple
coach.
parents, multiple coaches, district administrator. It takes a group to pull this off. This isn't one coach that goes, hey, just bring them by Saturday. Don't play. This takes a lot of people. And like I said to Marin, the 11 and 12-year-olds not going, man, we could use a fourth outfielder. I just don't think we're going to get out of the regional. Let's go find it. No, these are adults that think they're making the right decision for their kids.
How much blame does ESPN take on this as well?
Listen, Bianchi and I used to fight for years over whether it should be televised. I still believe televising the World Series games is not as big of an issue, but I will admit in recent years, because of what has happened to the travel ball obsession and how these rosters are rigged. And by the way, the international rosters in some of these countries are rigged as well. If you want to go down the black hole, look how Japan builds its team. In this case, Korea, who won that Asian Pacific regional, it's a stacked team. But the U.S. teams in the last 5 to 7 years have simply spit on the Little League rules and have found every loophole. And Little League, and where Marin's right, we're going long on here, but where Marin is right, Little League had to make a decision. They were losing players to travel ball. To say, hey, you want to play the best 12-year-old baseball, it's not Little League. You go here and pay the thousands of dollars and play in these tournaments to get exposure because you're going to get a college scholarship and play Major League Baseball. So Little League Baseball made the decision years ago to say, okay, we're not going to require every player to play every game of Little League Baseball to be eligible for the All-Star team. So they changed that rule because they were losing players. But what it ended up doing is it created the gray area of, well, okay, let's just figure out the best way to stack a team. So the travel ball industry figured out, okay, our travel ball tournaments don't get the media coverage that the Little League World Series does. So we'll do our thing, and then we'll figure out a way to, put a travel ball team on the field to go to Williamsport. And I'm telling you, of the 12 regionals that'll represent the U.S., probably 9 to 10 have an illegal roster. Where the majority of kids couldn't be eligible to play in the All-Star team.
Such an embarrassment.
But the obsession by some Little League districts and towns of saying we won the Little League World Series. And you know what? We're guilty in this area too. We are.
It's embarrassing.
I mean, the obsession of going, well, what's the rule? Well, does it say this? And so they went to a judge yesterday afternoon and found a judge to go, yeah, I'll give you a ruling. Who they learned from? Well, in college football, you just go get a judge. Wow.
There's no adults anymore. Why do we even have rules? Why do we have rules?
I'll try to calm Chris down by pivoting to the National Football League next. Today's Double Shot Tuesday. Song titles or lyrics that make reference to a superhero.
I got to find something to calm me down. It is
Is Charlie Puth calming you down?
It's slow and melodic.
Yeah. You're so fired up over the Tulsa
It's
story.
such an embarrassment.
Well,
Pathetic.
the use of an ineligible player is pathetic. The apparent loophole that this group used is disgusting. If it's true, it's disgusting. Yeah.
It's Little League Baseball. What are we doing?
It's become a multi-billion-dollar business, unfortunately, and
Can we stop making everything a business?
I understand. I'm not
Stop
arguing.
making everything about
I'm not
money.
arguing, but
God.
the argument back would be,
No, there's no argument back.
I'm just telling you, and then I want to move on to something football here. We have in the Central Florida area, okay, we have a number of Little League groups, divisions, districts, and so forth. Not district, but cities, right? That the facilities and fields have gone down in quality. And their answer is because the number of kids that are coming to play Little League Baseball has been reduced. Because the old way of you grow up in a neighborhood, you meet friends, you play with kids, you grow up, you play football, baseball, all these sports together has shrunk. And we have Little League areas where they used to get, Chris, when you'd sign up in January to play in late February, early March, some of these places used to get 300 kids. Now get 50. So the city decides, well, what can we do to get more kids to come out and play? Because if we can't, then to keep up the fields to the level, it costs money. So we've had areas in Central Florida that said, we won't do Little League Baseball anymore because those that are serious about playing go over there, and the kids, and I'm magnifying the example. The kids that are stuck in left field and right field are the only ones whose parents want to drop them off here to play, and there's not enough of them to sustain the expenses of doing it. There are still some really good Little League programs that have good fields and all that stuff, but that's what's happened in Little League. And then on a corporate level, they had to make decisions. So we got to change the rules, and now you don't have to play the full season and everything. But in the end, it still comes down to the adults in the room and the decisions that they make. And when you choose to break the rules knowingly, why? Because you think your kid's life is going to be better off because he got the trip to Williamsport and they lost in a state championship game, but then get there, that his life will be less successful?
Well,
that's the parents that do that.
Well, how gullible are we for? I'm going to say we're essentially falling for these. I'm going to call it a scheme.
When you say fall for the scheme, what do you mean?
So, hey, come play on our travel ball team. We have this exposure. We'll get your kid this, and this, and it's a scheme.
But
Stop falling for it.
Chris, there's three types of kids that play travel ball. There's those that are really, really talented. So the owners of these teams go out of their way to accommodate them, meaning don't worry about paying the full price. You know, I mean, we'll cover some for you. Then there's those that have some talent, but not elite talent, okay? But you need them to compete because you need a bunch of arms on the weekend to throw and things like that. Then you have the kids that'll never make it, but his parents will pay. And you need them because they help fund your business. So the dads of the, and I'm making up a number, of the 5-6 kids in the travel ball team that'll never play college baseball, but just want to pay the money, that helps pay for the kid whose parents can't afford it, but has the lightning arm and the power to win tournaments. Yeah.
We're so gullible. Like, what are we doing? Seriously, what are we doing?
What we're doing is, and as you as a father gain more experience, we think we make the right decision to help our kids. And sometimes we get caught up in something that you're like, I don't know if that's the right decision, to make. Like one of the things that I look back on, my youngest daughter did gymnastics early on. It's a great story that I love to say. Went to the AAU state championships in gymnastics. I think she was 6 or 7, and came home with like 7 medals on her chest. Won like everything, and announced her retirement on the drive home. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, great. Not just because the money thing. Went into cheer. And thank God she decided, I don't want to do that type of cheer. And she cheered into high school and everything because the same BS controversy was going on there. Hey, it's for 7 or 8 year olds, or it's for 9 or 10, but we've got someone or someone's a good flyer and they're going to come and they'll join our team. Yeah, but they live in Jacksonville, but they're going to be able to compete in the tournament this weekend. And you're like, why? Because we've got a better chance of winning. And you're like, but Chris, it happens because parents think they're making the right decision for their kids. And
no, they're not. They're doing it for themselves. They're trying to live vicariously through their kids.
That's correct a lot.
Stop it.
It is correct. It happens a lot. Yeah. 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 Parenting's not easy. You're going to learn. And hopefully you make the right decision, keeping the best interest of, in your case, your daughter, if you have more kids in mind. It gets tougher. It gets tougher because the minute you see heartbreak for your kids, you want to fix it. And sometimes we think, well, fixing it, how do I make them happy? Well, happy is winning. Happy is, I can help make you a champion.
So just to kind of piggyback off of that, parents want to make sure that their kids don't experience heartbreak. What about when they get their first girlfriend or boyfriend? How are you going to fix that?
Oh, no.
Are you going to buy them?
You're not wrong. I'm just saying.
Another spouse? Like, what are we doing?
Some parents make the right decision. Some parents don't. And there are different reasons why they do it. Some parents can afford mistakes, meaning I'll buy my way out of it, or I'll buy my child's happiness. Others, and every family, every parent's different. My dad, and I worship my dad. He was my best friend. My dad made sure that my brother, myself, my sister who played some sports, my brother and I were obsessed, that you understood defeat. And if you didn't like it, then get better. I mean, my dad provided opportunities to say, you want to play all these sports, you're going to play these sports. My dad wouldn't let my brother and I play baseball. He insisted we play everything so we can miss baseball and go back. I played football, basketball, baseball, soccer, everything. And I didn't win all the time. In fact, most of the teams I played on weren't very good. And my dad was like, then work hard to get better. Be a better teammate. Help others. Don't get upset at the kid in right field that drops the fly ball. Ask him if he wants to practice more, and so forth. That was my dad who did that. Other dads are like, get that kid to the right field. Let's go bring in somebody that can play right field. I know a kid who lives across town. Parenting's not easy. Sometimes we think, hey, common sense. Our common sense gets cloudy.
Two things in this world that aren't common: sense and courtesy.
Yeah, that's why I always end the show by saying it's easy to be kind, but sometimes people forget stuff like that. So, we think we're doing best by our kids, but sometimes, people just end up doing it for themselves or try to buy happiness or success for their kids. And some kids learn the hard way. Because like you said, at some point, mom and dad can't buy your happiness or can't buy you out of a situation. So what do you do? If you're not experiencing that, then what do you do? Some kids are experiencing. Some kids by the time they're 13 have experienced success, failure, heartache, opportunity taken away, and so forth. Are they better than other kids? Not better, but you've experienced more things in life. You're able to handle it. I go back and look, I played on more losing teams than winning teams. I mean, I know I played on more losing teams than winning teams. Am I better than the person that played? No. But I experienced, when I was growing up in South Florida, Little League's oldest version was called Big League. Big League's gone because of travel ball. It doesn't exist, but Big League used to be for 16, 17, 18-year-olds. The Big League World Series was held in Fort Lauderdale. We went every year. Every year. My dad loved it. He basically took his job vacation time off because we went to watch, and I saw teams from all over the world play there. I dreamed of playing in the Big League World Series when I was 10, 11 years old. I mean, that field, which to me looked like Yankee Stadium, would hold 1,500, 2,000 people. And I was there when the Broward County All-Stars made it to the championship game and played the team from Taiwan. And I dreamed of playing there. Never got a chance. Not because I wasn't good enough. The teams I played on weren't very good. My dad didn't buy my way and go, hey, why don't you move over here? We'll get you over in this group who's got a better chance to get players on that All-Star. We didn't do that. It was, hey, get better. Other parents might view it differently, man. Might view it differently. A lot of life lessons in the last 40 minutes in the program. And I made Chris angry. I didn't even get to the football story that
you want to do football during the show within the show?
Well, I want to say what I was going to talk about, but yeah, we'll do a little show within the show. If you're on the stream, hang out with us a little bit. If you're not on the stream, get there on our YouTube page, 96 in the Game Orlando, or access it via Twitter at 96 Game On. I do want to bring this up and thank the folks from the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin that came by today to drop off some incredible food. Part of the Taste Central Florida presented by Edwin Jones, which is Friday, August 28th at Orlando World Center Marriott. The premier culinary event, more than 100 Central Florida's top chefs, restaurants, and beverage experts for an incredible night. And 100% of the event proceeds benefit Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida and the Coalition for the Homeless of Central Florida. And you can get tickets and learn more by going to tastecfl.org. That's tastecfl.org. And the folks from the Swan and Dolphin came by, and they've got some of their incredible restaurants that are there from Italian and seafood, all that great stuff. And they brought some amazing food today. We had the platter of the Italian favorites, the fried chicken hummus, the tuna tartare, the braised Wagyu short rib, and
The
so
ahi
forth.
tuna.
It was great.
fantastic.
So I thank the folks of the Swan and Dolphin who came by and set up a great spread for us to enjoy. Again, learn more. Go to tastecfl.org. Taste Central Florida, presented by Edwin Jones, August 28th at Orlando World Center Marriott. The news kicks off the 11 o'clock hour next.
All right, we're on.
Are you okay?
It's just so incredibly frustrating.
Is it? Okay, here, I'll pivot to football for you. Okay, let's get off that. Am I missing something? And are you, well, what side are you on in the 49ers injury?
Substation.
Do you think it's,
Yes.
what is it, like 20 guys are injured now?
More
for
than that. Do you follow the Substation on Twitter?
No,
They
there
have
is
Twitter-
one?
Yes.
Stop
Look it up.
it.
Yes.
What's it called?
SC Substation. Santa Clara Substation. That account is fantastic.
It's like 20 guys are injured now, right? For the Niners?
Probably more. Like they'll talk about Christian McCaffrey is experiencing tightness, should be ready for week 1. The Substation will come back and tweet. We'll see. It's great.
Because I think the TV was on, and one of the football shows like, and the number of injured Niners is like 20 right now, and I don't know. It is weird.
It's the Substation.
It's weird. It's weird.
You can't stop the Substation.
By the way, the let me go find this here. I had it up before.
By the way, if you're on the stream, give me a song with a superhero reference or title that does not include Superman or Batman, please.
That's the hard one.
No Superman, no Batman. Please.
ESPN Cleveland every day posts the quarterback tracker.
Oh God.
Yeah. Every day they put up the completion
Okay,
numbers.
I needed a good joke.
Yeah. Put up the completion numbers. From August 8th, that would have been what, Saturday?
Yes.
Deshaun Watson was 23 of 34 with 4 touchdowns. Shadur Sanders was 16 of 20. Dylan Gabriel 5 of 12. Nobody else threw touchdowns. Apparently that online rumor is not true about that Shadur's now working with 3rd and 4th stringers.
Oh.
That's not true, or that he won't make the roster or something like that. That's just people having fun on Twitter there. But there's the other thought about the Browns, like Deshaun Watson's going to be their starting quarterback.
Yeah. What's the alternative?
I don't know. I mean, based on the money that they're paying him, I mean, I guess he's the guy. He's the guy. Crazy.
Yeah, they are, and they're going to be drafting yet another quarterback in this year's draft. 100%.
Wow.
100%.
By the way, if I read one more thing or even watch, I think it bothers me more in the NFL than college when the coaching change takes place. And it's just a different way of doing things right now. Like if I read one more thing in Miami, like you could just see the way they're doing practice. Here's one thing that's always consistent in the NFL, Chris. It is talent. And usually the roster with more talent is going to beat the team that doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So You can run out of the locker room really fast. You can get on the field and be vocal when you do calisthenics. You can have great post-practice speeches. If you don't have talent, you're not winning a lot of games. But it's like, man, athlete just does it differently right now, man. They hit.
He won't be the head coach next season. What are we doing?
I don't know about that. But it's just like the different attitude. Yeah.
By the way, I got people responding with Flash's theme by Queen. I don't have that in my system.
Well, find it.
It's not in the system,
It's on YouTube.
but I can't play it for licensing.
Yeah. It's a good
Help
point.
me here.
Sing it.
God, I don't think you want me doing that.
By the way, the task force, the TDT meeting, they took a break at 10:45. Oh, now they're back up.
Good Lord, they start late, then they already take a break.
No,
What
no,
are we
no.
doing?
Well, the first part of the meeting was to allow residents to speak. That's part of the public forum.
Okay.
So whether you're for or against something, anybody could have signed up to go do a 1-minute speech. They did that. Then they did a series of questions for the people representing these projects. Now they're going over the process, and then I think ultimately they will post the grades for all these projects. So I've been watching during our show for a couple of hours. What's going on there? All right, let's do the news here.
Time to do the news. But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WYTM Orlando, WJR, HD2 Cocoa Beach. It's the Beat of Sports. I'm Marc Daniels. That's Chris Vasquez. NBA schedule begins to drop with the opening night games 3, and actually an afternoon game, which I like. I mean, baseball plays afternoon on opening day. The season will tip off with Detroit and Boston playing a 3 o'clock game. At 7 o'clock, the Knicks will hang a championship banner by hosting LeBron and the Sixers. Do we say that? Is it all his team?
I think that's disrespectful to Tyrese Maxey.
What about Jaylen Brown?
Disrespectful to Tyrese Maxey.
Knicks and Sixers at 7, then OKC and San Antonio at 9:30. Christmas Day schedule also announced. San Antonio and the Knicks, Miami, Boston, Philadelphia, the Lakers, OKC, Minnesota, and Denver and Golden State are the Christmas Day games. The NFL, by the way, plays a triple header on Christmas Day. I mentioned the Tourist Development Task Force meeting is going on now and continuing in Orlando, and expected to hand out grades, which basically got to meet a certain grade to basically get money. It ultimately goes to the county commission, but that meeting continues as we speak. Major League Baseball did announce its postseason schedule. If we get a Game 7 of the World Series, it'll be played on Halloween. Jacob Wilson of the A's completed his 111th consecutive game without an error on Sunday, by the way, the longest such streak by a shortstop. Mike Bordick, boy, I remember that name. Orioles shortstop, won 110 games. Extended to 112 yesterday. The all-time record is outfielder Robbie Grossman won 440 games without an error from 2018 to 2022.
I saw someone that they quoted Zach Law on this regarding how many times baseball pitchers have thrown 110 pitches or more.
This season?
None.
Yeah. Well, I was going to guess 1 or 2.
None.
Yeah.
And
Meanwhile,
that happened like a handful of years ago, over 900 times.
Yordan Alvarez, though, is in position for a triple crown right now. He's got first place in all 3 of those categories, having an incredible season. Let's see. What else do we have for you on today? College football, by the way, week 0, 2 weeks from Saturday. Full preseason for the NFL weekend begins on Thursday. And can I give you my latest Yankee health update?
Go for it.
Remember the story was that Giancarlo Stanton
It's not Giancarlo's fault.
Right. He was jogging in the outfield, and apparently the Yankees have incorporated, ready? Have incorporated base running. What next? How to use the dugout? What comes next?
You got to make sure you run up and down those stairs. Very
Well, for
very
him, you might need
carefully.
one of those lifts to make sure it doesn't trip on the way up or something. My God, it's just unbelievable. Remember the old days where like, hey, so-and-so's in the 15-day disabled list. We'll see him back in 15 days. That was it. Now it's like, he's slowly getting base running back into it. Like, just tell me when you're coming back. If you're not coming back, then get lost.
Called analytics.
By the way, Quinnen Williams of the Cowboys. 3 years, 105.9.
Done without anyone clamoring for it. No one made a big deal about it. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, because real pros get it done that way.
Yeah.
Don't need the media. Don't need the leverage.
Jones is turning a page.
Or you just get a guy that
Jerry Jones is turning a page.
Or you get a guy who goes, hey, just get a deal done. Yeah, but just get a deal done.
Javonte Williams, deal done without waiting.
No, but I mean, you agree. Like, he's a really good player, right?
Yes.
The majority of players just want a deal done to have some security. Not like, hey, make sure I'm the highest paid guy. Just give me what I think's a fair deal. You get it? Okay, good. I don't need the media stuff. I don't need the back and forth. I don't need the holdout.
Well, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones wants the headlines. And these signings, Javonte Williams, Quinnen Williams, they're not.
But I guess what I'm saying is sometimes it's a player that's like, hey, just get a fair deal done. I'm not going to sit here and leave camp over X amount of millions and so forth. Believe me, he's getting well paid. I'm going to guess he's like, I'm not going back and forth. Just find a deal. Get it done. That's all.
I'll never forget. He sneezed during the pre-draft interview, and then he blessed himself, then thanks himself.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I totally forgot that.
Bless you. Thank you.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that. That was him.
Oh, that's great.
By the way, am I supposed to watch this hurricane?
You're watching a hurricane? Why?
Or this tropical thing that's got like some legs to it? Every bleeping August during the weeks of football season. Every time. Every time. Well, we'll keep an eye on that.
I used to have to worry about that during the Daytona 500 when I used to produce them. I sat in this studio for 10 hours producing a Daytona 500 one year because of all these rain delays.
Oh, those days.
Yeah.
That's when it wasn't automated and you had to have the board out there working the board.
Yeah, that was fun.
Well, I get that sometimes the vibe from you or Tom Morgan or Scott Harris when you have rain delay. How long do you think it's going to be? And I may know sometimes, but I don't give you guys.
Wow.
No. What I mean by that is, I don't. Like if they say it could be 2-3 hours, I tell you I don't know. I'll keep you posted. And if you tell me I'm going to leave, then you leave to go get something to eat. And then there was the time this past season where I wasn't asking Tom Morgan to stay past midnight for a game. And I said, I don't think we're playing it. If we are, I'll just do it on YouTube and so forth. But I'll look out for your best interest. But as you've learned, for UCF football, it's inevitable there's a September or August rain delay. That's inevitable.
Yep.
Right? How long is it going to be? I don't know.
Well, let's just make it through week one.
But in football, like in baseball, when you get a rain delay, we go back to programming. In football, we don't. We stay there. So if it's a 3-hour delay, we stay in the air. Yeah. All right. Got that to look forward to.
We'll be all right.
It is 50 years since Rocky was released. Up next, the author of a new book that does a deeper dive into how it all came about. And I know there's a movie coming out about I Play Rocky, but the book takes a deep look in some of the stories of how the movie got made and why to this day it still resonates. We'll get to that next. song titles or lyrics that mention a superhero, but I guess we're counting if you say superhero.
Again, I keep getting a bunch of
Superman one.
Superman,
Right.
Batman. I do have one next segment that
Okay.
a comic book superhero that
All right.
I've never heard of. You probably haven't heard of either.
That's okay. When I saw that this movie was turning 50, I did two things. One, I remember seeing it at the age of 9. I say remember seeing it. My parents went to the movie. I guess I went, but it made me also feel old because Rocky is turning 50, the movie. And if you think about it, and it's not just list of great sports movies, but the franchise has grown. Another one coming out about the background of Stallone, how he made the movie. But our next guest is got a book coming out that does a deeper dive, going the distance, Stallone, Philly, and the story of Rocky. Mike Sielski writes for the Philadelphia Inquirer and has the book coming out and has kind of joined us. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me.
When I was communicating with you, I've been to Philly several times and calling UCF Sports playing Temple and run, and I was saddened because a couple of trips ago, the statue was not at the top of the steps. It was off to the side, and it looked depressing. It was just there. And when I was back in March for the NCAA tournament, I was happy to see the statue was back up at the top of the steps. So I'm not from Philly, but it made me feel good, Mike, to see the statue back up there.
Well, there are actually 3 statues, Mark. That's kind of the funny part of Rocky's hold on the city. There's one statue that actually had been inside the art museum all summer as part of an exhibit. It was the first time one of these statues had been inside the art museum, which is hard to imagine. That one's eventually going to go back to Sylvester Stallone. They now have moved one of the other ones that had been at the base of the steps, like you saw. That's now at the top. And there's another one at Philadelphia International Airport as well. So there's actually 3 statues. So anyone inside or outside Philadelphia can get their statues worth of Rocky.
It's interesting to me. Some of the great sports towns in this country have true sports heroes. In New York, it's Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, now maybe Jalen Brunson. In Philadelphia, there's a great history of sports stars, but Rocky's among them. And fictional sports stars aren't supposed to be part of the fabric of a city, but it is in Philadelphia, isn't it?
Totally is. And of course, the irony of that is Philadelphia has its own real life Rocky to a large degree in Joe Frazier, right? The man who beats Muhammad Ali in 1971, the man who is training in the 1960s by running through the streets of Philadelphia and through Fairmount Park. But the bottom line is that in making that movie 50 years ago, Sylvester Stallone captured something intrinsic about the city, about the way people here view themselves, that idea that what matters most isn't necessarily whether you win or lose, but that you pushed yourself to the brink and gave everything you had in trying to win, and that at the end you could stand and hold your head tall and say, I went the distance.
I know you did a bunch of deep dives into some of the unique stories for Stallone, but I just want to ask you to go back. The timing of the movie and why it also resonates. Some of our biggest cities in the 70s are struggling. The economy's not great, and there wasn't much put into infrastructure. So take me back to the time of the mid-70s in Philadelphia when this movie comes out, what it meant. Was it almost a sense of hope? Because like New York and Chicago and Boston, Philly was struggling. Downtown areas were not proud areas back then.
Stallone's timing and the producer's timing in making this movie could not have been better. In this sense, Mark, Philadelphia had been exactly what you described in the early 70s. High crime, racial tension, kind of a rough place. It's people seeing themselves as kind of downtrodden but full of spirit and heart. And by the time November and December of 1976 roll around and Rocky comes out, the city is on kind of an upswing. We've celebrated the bicentennial, and the sports teams in town are all trending upwards. The Sixers have just acquired Julius Erving a month before Rocky comes out. The Flyers have won back-to-back Stanley Cups and have beaten the Soviet Red Army team and can make the claim that they're the best hockey team in the world. And the Eagles are about to begin an upswing, having hired Dick Vermeil as their head coach. And the Phillies have a young, improving, talented team that's about to win the NL East 3 years in a row. You have the sound of Philadelphia having emerged as a major force in popular music, overtaking Motown as the great place of black popular music in the country. And things in the city have kind of stabilized and more restaurants are opening up in the downtown. So Stallone made the movie seeing Philadelphia as it was in 1971, 72, but by 1976, the whole city is kind of feeling better about itself, and that leads to this rise in popularity with the film itself.
You're right that there's a lot of stories about Stallone that some are accurate, some are not. So take me back to the young actor in Sylvester Stallone and where that is hatched before he even has the idea of, like, I got this script. So tell me about the young Stallone. Is there an acting background in Stallone?
A little bit of one. In high school, he actually tries out for a play and doesn't get a part. It's funny, so many of the stories he has told over the years seem too wild to be true. But in my research, I go back and verify at least some of them. It's really in Switzerland, actually. He goes over there as an exchange student. His mother gets him into a very kind of posh Swiss prep school. And it's there that he auditions for, kind of impulsively, a part in Death of a Salesman, and gets the role and loves it and becomes intoxicated by the idea of being an actor. He performs pretty well on the role. He gets a standing ovation for it, and that sets him on the path. He had been pretty directionless up to that point, but that sets him on the path to acting.
As you start doing a deeper dive into the movie and the characters, and I don't know if I was shocked, but you're right. He and Carl Weathers didn't get along, did they?
No, the total like alpha male energy kind of crackling back and forth between them. You know, you have to remember Carl Weathers was an NFL player. He had been, in Raiders camp. He played in a few games for the Oakland Raiders back when they were the Al Davis Raiders. And he was looked at askance by guys in that locker room, by coaches, because, he was intelligent and into acting and wanted to do these other things and have these other pursuits. So when he auditions for the part of Apollo Creed, and he and Stallone kind of go back and forth in the audition with the scenes between Apollo and Rocky, there's a rivalry there naturally. And despite everything that's been said by the two of them over the years, and of course Weathers passed away a few years ago, about how great their relationship was and things got along, there was a rivalry there. They saw each other as, I'm the toughest guy in the room. I mean, it's this great anecdote where Weathers, in his audition for Apollo Creed, takes his shirt off to reveal this muscled torso and this V. And of course, Stallone does exactly the same thing. I mean, if you have like an alpha male, like Geiger counter there, the needle would have absolutely been in the red in that audition.
You went down a lot of research holes here. Burgess Meredith, there's a mysterious death connected to some sort of odd investigation. I mean, without giving it all away, won't people read the book? Tease me with it. What is it?
So the guy who trained Burgess Meredith to be a boxing trainer, Burgess Meredith, of course, plays Rocky Goldmill, the manager and trainer of Rocky, who takes him under his wing. Burgess Meredith didn't know anything about boxing. So he ends up getting tutored by a very well-known trainer named Howie Steinler, trainer and manager in Los Angeles. And without giving too much away, Howie dies not long after the movie comes out, and there is a lot of mystery shrouding Howie's death to this day. And I get into that in the book.
Mike Silsky's with us, the writer columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer, whose new book comes out in November, can be pre-ordered now, Going the Distance, Stallone, Philly, and the story of Rocky. You go into quite detail of Butkus and also Cuff and Link, the turtles. They were real?
They were real. And acquaintance, I don't think this has ever been reported before. A lot of people ask, where did Stallone get the names Cuff and Link for his turtles? Well, it turns out I tracked down a high school classmate and acquaintance of his who actually had pet turtles when he was in high school named Cuff and Link, and had mentioned that to Stallone. So it has to be where Stallone got the names from. And yeah, there's a whole kind of myth around Butkus the Bull Mastiff, the dog that appears in the movie and that had been Stallone's dog before filming began. Stallone's been telling a story for a half century now about how he had to sell Butkus to be able to make ends meet. And then once he got the deal for Rocky, he had to get Butkus back. So he had to get Butkus back from the guy he sold it from. It's a long story that actually makes the guy who took care of Butkus for Stallone seem like a real jerk. And none of it is true. Stallone's been embellishing this story for years and years. I actually tracked down the guy who owned Butkus and was involved in the movie, and that's a really kind of interesting narrative thread in the whole book.
Normally, the hero wins. There's a reason that Stallone, I guess, figured Rocky can't win this fight. Why, you think?
I think because he knew the theme of the movie wasn't about whether Rocky won or lost. It's about whether Rocky can establish and secure his own self-respect, his own dignity. I think the key really, Mark, is that Stallone didn't conceive of this as a sports movie first and foremost. He saw it as a love story. And what matters in the end is that Rocky gets the girl. He gets Adrian. If you've seen the end of Rocky, and of course billions of people have, that final scene of Rocky and Adrian embracing in the ring, you can barely hear the ring announcer in the background announce that Apollo Creed has won a split decision. It doesn't matter, because what ultimately matters is that Rocky comes away with his self-respect. He comes away knowing that Adrian loves him and he loves her, and that's all that matters.
I think, and Mike, I don't know if you came across this in the research. Did he anticipate another one? Because say, well, he comes back and he wins the second, but I don't know. Was that part of his mindset? Or like, I don't even think about a second one. The ending needs to be as you just described.
I think there was so much that got left on the cutting room floor and scenes and aspects of the character that Stallone wanted to explore that even if he didn't conceive, he couldn't possibly have conceived of a sequel. He was a nobody. He was just desperate to sell a screenplay and advance his career forward. But there are scenes in Rocky II and Rocky III and themes in those movies that he wanted to explore in the original Rocky and just couldn't. They didn't fit in that narrative. But once the movie becomes a huge success and wins Best Picture, then he can kind of reuse those scenes and tease them out in the later sequels.
I'm curious because the franchise has gone on to have different versions. Maybe you can make the movie again today. Do you think you could, or Hollywood would demand you to? He's got to win in the first one, and the characters have to be different. I think that's what makes a classic, is that I can watch it today and it still is perfect for me. Could you make Rocky in 2026?
I'm not sure you could, Mark, because I'm not sure a studio now would take a chance that the protagonist, the lovable Palooka fighter, actually loses in the end. You have to remember, and I get into this in the book, the producers of the movie, Bob Chartoff and Irwin Winkler, invested a bit of themselves financially, but the budget for this movie was only about $1 million. There was very little risk invested in this movie. That's the reason Sylvester Stallone ended up playing Rocky, is because, they looked at it, the producers looked at it and said, why do we want to get a big name actor, a Burt Reynolds, a Ryan O'Neal, those kinds of names back then? The studio, United Artists, will want to take control of it. We don't want to do that. If we have Sylvester Stallone, we'll be able to make a relatively inexpensive movie and have it turn out the way we want it to turn out. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, well, we haven't invested very much in it. And as it turned out, of course, it was a blockbuster.
Last question. You've written books before. I'm always curious for authors. If I could only ask you to take one thing away from the project that you didn't think you would learn, what is it for this project?
I think that's a great question. I think how far Stallone had to go. I don't think I had an appreciation for how idiosyncratic he was as a person and how deep in the depths he was from a career standpoint when he embarked on the journey to make Rocky. I get into this in the first chapter of the book. He was so committed to playing Rocky Balboa, the character, that he stopped eating carbohydrates. He stopped eating bread because he had read that carbs stimulate brain activity. So he just ate shrimp and other shellfish in the hopes that it would dumb him down to be able to play Rocky. And I had no idea about anything like that. And so there are aspects of Stallone's background and life early on that were just completely revelatory to me, and I loved getting into them. And I think readers will too.
That scares me, Mike, because I pretty much eliminated bread and eat more fish these days. So it's alarming to hear about that. Mike's book comes out in November. You can pre-order now, Going the Distance, Stallone filling in the story of Rocky. Mike Silsky writes for the Philadelphia Inquirer, and he's on X or Twitter at Mike Silsky, Sielski. Thanks, Mike. Best of luck with the book. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
50 years old for Rocky. Man, I'm old. But yeah, I don't know if he can make it today. I'm not quite sure, though. I don't really understand the movie industry much today and what gets made or not made and everything. But it is a great story. Stallone has his own book coming out. Mike even has discussed this in our interviews. So he communicated via email a little bit with with Sylvester Stallone and people around him. But Stallone has his own book coming out. It's called The Steps, kind of the run up the step. It's more about his life and everything. And then there is the movie coming out. It says I Play Rocky, which at least the trailer looks pretty good. Yeah, Mike's book, I look forward to reading it when it comes out in November. And it is interesting. You know, we have great sports cities in this country, and that's the rare fictional character that you have to list among the other real sports legends in a town.
Where do you think Rocky would fall in the on the list of 1 to 5 in terms of sports figures in Philadelphia?
Mike and people from Philly are better to explain that because, you know, Dr. J, Moses Malone, the Broad Street Bullies in hockey, when the Eagles first got to Super Bowl with Ron Jaworski and Dick Vermeil, and now winning again or winning, you know, Mike Schmidt, but Rocky's part of the sports history of Philadelphia, fictional character, you know, and pretty cool when you think about it. On the mark, off the mark with a twist next. Isn't this anthrax?
I am surprised you knew that. How deep is Mark's anthrax library?
Not long. This is I'm the Law, right?
Yep. Nice.
Am I missing something here?
So I had to look this up. Specifically references two comic book heroes, Judge Dredd and Judge Anderson.
Then it counts. Sure. Judge Dredd, Stallone played in the movie.
There you go.
Wow. All right, it counts. Tourist Development Tax meeting, which is still going on. The members give their opinion and basically either support, little support, no support. And I will tell you right now, not great news for UCF or the Dreamers. They did not get the support to put them near the top. Doesn't mean that they can't get any money, but typically what they do is you reach a certain threshold to get above 80%. 4 projects did get above 80%. Then the next group down, for example, Florida Citrus Sports got 66% approval for their $54 million parking lot. The convention center asking for $523 million, 66%. UCF request of $119 million got 48% support. Then again, this isn't a final vote. It's the committee's initial response. And for the Dreamers, seeking $975 million, 29% support. I'm not going to use the obvious punchline, go, the dream has died. It's just, it's not gaining any traction here. That's not a final list, but if you're in the third category, which actually UCF's in that third, it's likely hard to see you getting any money out of that deal. It's an ask, and then they'll decide how much money you actually get. So let's do a little on the mark, off the mark.
It's a Tuesday staple on the beat of sports. On the mark, off the mark. Presented by Bowegan's Beer Company. Bowegan's, recrafting perceptions.
So everyone always uses AI to kind of, make predictions. So that's kind of what I did with this. Usually, NFL superlatives are always fun to do, but I kind of switched it up a little bit. But I asked Google Gemini last night, a few questions. It gave me its predictions. And Mark, you will tell me whether you believe it on the mark or you don't off the mark. So I asked Google Gemini, who will the most improved team in the NFL be for the upcoming season?
All right.
It gave me the Las Vegas Raiders.
The most improved team.
Most improved team.
Yeah.
Their reasoning, rookie quarterback impact, defensive line dominance, schedule relief, and it gave them a 10-7 wild card berth.
Off the mark. I don't know when the Raiders are going to pivot to Fernando Mendoza. Maybe if Max Crosby beats the crap out of Kirk Cousins next week, then the pivot's quicker. Look, I think the Raiders probably are getting a little bit of the hometown bounce, meaning, hey, new coach, excited like the Dolphins. They'll probably be better, but I'm not quite sure I'm ready to say 10 because the division they're playing in.
Yeah. Tough division. No, I'd probably.
So I would agree that they'll be better, but I don't know about 10 wins. I don't think that.
So you mentioned Fernando Mendoza. I did ask how many games will Fernando Mendoza start next season?
Can I guess what it said?
Yep.
9.
Nope.
4.
Nope.
15.
Nope.
36.
Yes.
No.
All 17. Drafted number 1 overall by the Raiders, coming off his Heisman and national championship season at Indiana. Mendoza has been named the uncontested day 1 starter in Vegas. Barring injury, he is slated to command all 17.
Do the Raiders know this, or this is just what Gronk said?
This is just what Google Gemini said.
Oh, okay.
All 17 on the mark or off the mark?
Off the mark. I mean, thus far in camp, they've given no indication of that.
Right.
And Kirk Cousins ain't playing for the minimum.
This is what Google Gemini said.
Okay. Okay.
I had to throw this one in there.
Machine. Yeah.
Who wins the NFC East?
Duh.
In a division defined by historical chaos and non-repeat champions, a top-tier passing attack paired with game-breaking defensive
Now I
playmakers
know why Chris did
gives
that.
the Dallas Cowboys the edge to control the division down the stretch.
Off the mark, obviously. Embarrassing.
You,
Prepare yourself for a solid third place finish.
you really think the Giants won the NFC East?
No, I don't. I think the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys certainly have the talent to win the East. And trying to be serious for a moment, the problem I always have with Dallas is it's not talent. The Cowboys find ways to lose games that they're supposed to win, and it always for Dallas it comes down to 3 or 4 games. That if it's 4, don't go 1-3, go 3-1. And I mean, on paper, the Cowboys are incredibly talented.
It's just the defense, and then when the few times they have made it to the playoffs during Dak's 10 years, nothing seems to click for them in the
Nobody
playoffs.
cares.
I asked for some random predictions here,
Yes.
and it gave me this one. Baker Mayfield will throw for 4,000 plus yards and finish top 5 in MVP voting.
I'm off the mark on that.
You don't agree with anything Google Gemini says.
I see who his weapons are.
Mhm.
I think the key for Baker is, can you tell me how many games he's going to play healthy? And I think the Bucs are settling into that 9-8, 8-9 area. So
I could see that. What will be the biggest surprise of the 2026 season?
19 touchdowns by OBJ.
The Bears finish as the top 3 seed in the NFC. While many project Chicago to merely take an incremental step toward 500, the biggest shockwave of the 2026 season will be that the Bears vaulting past the traditional powerhouses to claim a high playoff seed.
I'll say on the mark. I think I'm higher on the Bears than you are.
I do think they take the step back. I'm not a big believer in Caleb Williams. They lose DJ Moore. Luther Burns been
I think what you're
okay in the
saying,
NFL
well,
so
he's hurt
far.
now for all preseason, but I think you're the mindset that a team that rides the wave of so many comeback wins at some point comes back down to earth. And maybe they won't win as many of those games.
Everything always evens out in the end. And for as many close games as you want to get into, as many games as you want to fall behind and come back, you can't keep that up long term and expect to win a Super Bowl that way.
Okay.
That's just my 2 cents.
Well, they'll lose the NFC title game in New York anyways. It doesn't matter.
I asked Google Gemini, what will be the most watched NFL regular season game in 2026? And of course, Thanksgiving, Eagles, Cowboys, projected 42 to 45 million viewers.
I don't know, man. Those Christmas Day games. I mean,
On the mark, off the mark.
I'll say on the mark. I think it's more football and Thanksgiving. I think some Christmas dinners may keep that number down a little bit but that's an unbelievable Christmas Day schedule. I got Bills Broncos, the second game.
It was a good game.
I got Seahawks Rams at night. That Seahawks Rams game could draw 45, 50 million people. That night game on Christmas Day is pretty good, man.
NFL playoff team last year, most likely to miss it this year. That would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. In a brutal AFC arms race with tight divisional competition, slight regressive variance at quarterback or offensive line injuries could easily knock them outside the top
I don't
7.
like Pittsburgh this year, so I think you're on the mark.
Yeah, I don't.
And then team that missed the playoffs last year, heavily favored, is Giants, obviously. You didn't do that one?
That would be the.
You didn't do that one?
I did not do that one, but if I had to guess what Gemini would say, which I could do right now, it would be the Detroit Lions.
Oh, they missed last year. Yeah.
Finished last place at 9-8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will there be a division that sends 3 teams to the playoffs? And you mentioned it kind of earlier, the AFC West, the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs. On the mark or off the mark?
On the mark. You agree with that?
I do, because you look at the AFC North.
I mean, I say right now I don't have the schedules in front because at some point it may mark itself out by taking a look at certain matchups. But I guess today on paper,
Yeah, because the AFC East could potentially produce two. AFC North, maybe. I don't think the AFC South is producing two playoff teams.
Yeah.
So I'd give the nod to the AFC West. That is your on the mark, off the mark with Google Gemini's help.
back to put a wrap on the Tuesday show next.
So, trends and off-the-wall stories. Trends.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
I got to get on this task force next time they convene. I'm listening to idiots on the task force. Someone's asking someone, so the money that you got 3 years ago, what, you didn't wisely spend, so you're coming back asking for more? Isn't that your own budget problem? The person goes, no, it's the projects that we asked to be funded. We used that money to fund those. They got funded. Now we're asking to fund other projects. Just, I'm confused. Did you use the money or not? Well, I mean, we have idiots. Some people are just idiots. So other board members are looking at this person like, do you not understand this? And these people are voting on determining hundreds of millions of dollars and where it goes? My God.
That doesn't sound like a
It's
smart
nothing
idea.
to do that, UCF apparently didn't get a very favorable grade here. Just it basic projects, like know what you're talking about.
It doesn't seem very smart.
Anyway, more on the TDT tomorrow. At the moment, it does not look good at all for the Dreamers to get any money. And for UCF, it seems like they have an uphill battle as well. Anyway, fun day today. Good show. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Mark.
Miss any of the program, go where you get your favorite podcast. Type of the BOS Sports On Demand, access for the entire show. When you're there, subscribe, download. It's convenient for you. Go back and watch the video stream on our YouTube page, 96.9 The Game Orlando. Tomorrow, the show behind the show will be live on the stream the entire time. Crazy things go on there.
Can't wait.
See you tomorrow, Chris.
See you, Mark.
Chris produced. I'm Marc Daniels, the BOS Sports.